Guillaume Balaguer, welcome to Soccerex TV.
Thank you, Ben.
We're here to talk about a new, updated version of Lionel Messi's only authorised biography. Tell me more.
Well, first of all, how lucky Soccerex TV is to have you hosting all these interviews, and I know you've just been with Paul Barber, no, of Brighton, so big names, and that's always good to see. And this is the fifth update of the authorized book, a biography that started in 2012 with a no, because the first I heard from the Messi family was that no, we don't help writers, we're not interested in books, no. But I said, look, there is a bunch of stories that have been told about Leo. I'm not sure they're all true. To start with, can we do a job in which we put the real story? They thought maybe. And then I said, in Spain and in Argentina, everybody knows Leo Messi. He was at the time 23, 24. But in the rest of the world, they're not sure. They know that he's really good. They knew that he needed hormones to grow naturally. They don't know a lot more. They were like, sorry, no. But give us a call in a couple of weeks. So 2 weeks later, I rang this person, obviously key in the Messi story, and I said, what would you think? Well, we thought that in Argentina and Spain, everybody knows Messi, but internationally, they only know two things, don't they? They all know about the hormones, and I thought, great perception, because he was basically repeating my lines. I said, well, we'll help you. Just go, do your job, tell us who you're talking to, because there's a lot of people, and this sounds amazing to many, that telling stories about Messi that they're not true, they never met the man. And they will tell you who it is and who it isn't part of the story. So we started with that, and then it became a long process of 2 years of traveling all over the place, talking to a lot of people, very close to Leo himself as well. And at the end, they were so happy with the job that they said, you can call it authorized if you want. And I played it cool and said, yeah, okay. And then celebrated for a week, because it does help the book, obviously.
How do you know when to push and be a bit more relentless in that context? Because for most of us normal beings, if Lionel Messi or anyone close said no, not just once but twice, it would be very difficult for us to return and push it in order to eventually get that yes.
The key word is what you said, push. I'm very stubborn, and it was like, but it's a good idea. For both, it's a good idea. I had just finished the Pep Guardiola book. That was probably the first international biography there was of him, at a time where he went into the, as we say, the freezer, and he went on a sabbatical. And he has chosen, Pep Guardiola, his biographers, hasn't he? He's chosen who to talk to and who he allows to tell his story. And luckily enough, I was part of that. And then, of course, the job was a decent job on that book, Another Way of Winning. So I could present that to the Messi family and said, look, it's not just that I want to do a good job. I think you will benefit from it, because you will tell your story in the way that you want the story to be told. But as I always say to everyone that I've done books with, it's my book. I'll sign it. My name will be in the cover, because I want to tell my version of your world, your context, and who you are. So I was happy that little by little they saw that there was a lot of work being done, and as a consequence, we've been speaking about this in the last few days, but the world of Messi, the circle is very small, because they've been betrayed in the past, because it's difficult to trust people. And in a way, after the book came out, I presented about 8 commercial events with him. I've been able to update it 5 times with their help. So I feel part of that little world, and even though it's a place where you get it wrong once and the door's closes forever, well, we've been working together since 2012, and so far so good.
We'll come on to the specifics and some stories in a moment, but I'm fascinated first about your personal process. How long does it take you? Do you lock yourself away? And are you writing in English, Spanish, or the 100 other languages that you know?
Right, so this took about 2 years between the research, the writing, which tends to be in the summer, because we have a job to do as well, as you know, from August to May. And while I'm traveling, while I'm doing whatever it was at the time, Sky or whatever, I just cannot focus on the writing. I have to get into a place. I have to be into a room and a place or a house or where I'm going to be for a while, because it's like riding bicycle again. At the beginning, you just cannot do it, and then little by little it goes, and then you're in the zone, and then write, and then I write daily and have 10 hours every day for it. I let my beard grow, and at the end of it, it looks like I've been lost in an island, like it looked like a tramp. And all that, and I get ill generally. That's 2 months of it, 2-3 months, and then the season starts, and I always have to ask an extra month before I start the season. So it's 3 or 4 months in the writing, and then the editing. Yeah, 2 years. Then you have to promote it, then you have to update it. And this one was written in Spanish because I wanted key members of the Messi family to read it, because I wanted to make sure that the point of view was explained properly. It's an authorized book. But I wanted also that whatever I challenged their perception, or whatever I said things that they may hear for the first time, that they were happy with it, because it was on the back of analysis with sociologists or psychologists, or I tell the story of which I'd never been told to Jorge, especially to his dad, that when sports psychology says that when a player like Messi, a football player, has got their dad as an agent, it gets to a point where they don't know if they're talking to the agent or the dad. So in a way they become orphans, because they're not sure who is talking to them or who they talk to. And that was a bit of a shock. But it made Jorge think, and of course that went into the book. So it was that kind of collaboration that made the book more complete, I feel.
So a protagonist, in this case Messi, can actually authorize something, but then be surprised pleasantly sometimes by what they read.
Yeah, because in the case of Leo particularly, and he's the biggest out of all the people I've dealt with, he's not ready to tell you a story. He's not ready to sit down and, all right, go on. What happened when you were in school? Or what happened when you had to go for your trial at Barcelona? What happened when nobody was listening to you and you thought you had to go back to Argentina without the trial being finalized because the boss wasn't there, because it was in the Sydney Olympic Games? What happened to your head? What happened when you traveled and you didn't feel well? All that. It's not ready for that. So with that in mind, you have to pick the moments and get whatever story or whatever picture he can give you of those moments, and then develop it with talking to others. Otherwise, you don't get the full story. But when you give me that stuff, it's still got to go through my own processes and through my own experience and through my own thinking, and then goes back to them as their story. They never sat down to tell their story fully, and to get it back as a story is like, all right, gives them context, gives them time to think. And in some cases, yeah, they got surprised.
Do you think that he's such a unique character, consumed by football positively and negatively, that he's not had any time to pause and reflect yet on his career, both past, present, and of course future?
I think one of the keys of his success is that he's stuck in the present. So when Pep Guardiola goes, he goes, who is the next manager? So it's not like, it doesn't feel sad about the departure, it doesn't feel anything. It's like, right, what next? And he doesn't tell you where he's going to go after Barcelona or after PSG until it happens, until the moment he's got to take a decision. Always in the present. So yeah, he's not a person that sits down and starts to think about school and the friends at school and a football game at school. Not in that place. I imagine at some point he will be, but at the moment it's all about the present.
Let's talk specifically about the parts of the book that have been updated: a fairy tale World Cup win, a move to Inter Miami. Give me the details.
So quite clearly, the move to PSG, which was updated in the previous update, which was pre-World Cup, was one that was, I wouldn't say forced on him, but certainly didn't come natural. It wasn't on the back of a thinking process with the family. It was like, right, he thought he was staying at Barcelona. And then all of a sudden, no, you're not. Okay, what is there out there? Well, there's PSG, all right, let's do that kind of thing. That's how it went. So it wasn't a fully happy 2 years because of that. It was like, boom, there you are, go. And he needs to be comfortable with his surroundings. We're talking about a small circle. That's partly why. He needs to be know everyone and know that, make sure that everybody can look after him, kind of thing. So after PSG, of course, staying with the club level, Barcelona made all the noise about his return, but never made the move. There was a WhatsApp message. This is what you would earn, but nothing official, nothing solid. Which for Leo and for Jorge was like, do you know what? I mean, they don't seem to be putting the conditions for our return, so we better take a decision. And then it was a time to decide, and there was a time to talk to the family, and there was a time to put it all together, which he did and chose Inter Miami. And for the national side, just quickly, the perfect conditions were created from the manager to the squad for him to succeed, which he has been doing for the last 3 years non-stop.
As far as the move to Inter Miami is concerned, because we're here in Miami with Soccerex, you played a huge part in that story, providing clarity and accuracy when so much of that narrative was surrounded by smoke. Talk me through the moment when you realised categorically that he was definitely, not maybe, not 90%, not 95%, 100% moving to Inter Miami.
So I was playing pool in a bar, in a pub in Leicestershire, and you know the amount of work that goes into those stories. But there was one thing missing. There had been just 3 days before a meeting in which Laporta invited Jorge Messi to Laporta's house. Jorge Messi gets surprised by the bunch of journalists that are waiting for his exit. He gets nervous, doesn't know what to say. He comes out with lines that, in many people's minds, meant that there was the possibility still of Leo Messi coming back, and in a way there was. But I think everybody was very aware at that point that it's not going to happen. Barcelona could not put it together. So you start sensing that a resolution is imminent, and I knew that it was going to happen. I was playing pool, I was losing. I got a message. I asked my friend to go for a cigarette, and I put a tweet out, short one, in Spanish and English, saying, right, he's going to Inter Miami. I called my friend back, because I don't like losing. I won, I pulled, and that was the day. That was the day. Just it's the easiest part, in a way. Once it's confirmed, then the story's not yours. Then he goes. And then, of course, you know, it became viral or whatever it's called these days.
Of course, you can look at the World Cup win and then leaving European football as the end of a chapter. It certainly, if it was a film, would be the Hollywood ending, but Messi's not done yet. You might have 2, 3, 4, 5 updates still to come. What can we expect from Messi in 2024 and beyond?
So he's enjoying life in Miami. He'll eventually go to Barcelona, there's no doubt about that. 3 kids were born there, is what he feels more comfortable. And I think he has got the clear intention of winning the league for Inter Miami. I've got the impression as well that Luis Suarez is going to come in, so his best friends are going to be in the team with him, with Jordi Alba and Sergi Busquets. I've got the impression he's going to enjoy football so much, knowing now that he's going to be in the Copa America. That's another chance for success with the national side. And once you get there, it's like, right, 2 years later, you've got the World Cup again. He doesn't want to think like that. He wants to think year by year, but I see him playing another World Cup. And I've got no evidence of it, just the hope that he does. And then we'll see. But if he actually manages to get to the next World Cup, that would be amazing.
For those that are going to buy the book, first of all, where can they do that?
So in the United States, it's coming out in February, but I know that in Amazon you can get, obviously, this version you see here is the one for the UK in English. In Spanish, it will come out again in April. So the way to get it is if you have a friend in the UK and you're outside of the UK, tell them to send you a copy, or do it by Amazon in the UK. But certainly in the UK, it'll be in all the shops and ready for Christmas.
Second of all, for those on social media with low attention spans that want to turn to a great story, what's your favourite page? What's your favourite moment within the book? What's your favourite part of it that either struck out to you, made you laugh, made you cry, made you smile? What would you recommend?
I think there is a moment where, and we all have these moments in life where your life can go that way or that way, a turning point, sliding doors moment. And when he's 14, He's been a year in Barcelona. He had an injury, broke his leg, and then there was some bureaucracy that couldn't be beaten, so he couldn't play many games. Mostly were friendlies. His sister wasn't enjoying herself in Catalonia. The whole family had gone there for a 13-year-old to see if he succeeded. I mean, as crazy as it may sound. And they all got together around a table. This is something that I can say proudly that I write it in a form of a play within the book. They sat around a table, and basically the question is, Leo, do you want to stay? Because if you stay, Mom and your three brothers and sisters, two brothers and a sister, are going to go back to Rosario. And if you stay, Dad is going to stay with you. What a moment. Because that means, of course, let's not forget this, and I tend to deal with all the personal side of every part of the story. That means that Mom and Dad, who have been together since teenagers, they're going to have to separate, and there's going to be an ocean in the middle. Not easy. But Leo says, I want to stay, I want to be a professional. Right, okay, so that's what happens. Mom, with the two brothers and sister, go back to Rosario, and Jorge and Leo stay in Barcelona. I think that I go a lot around that and the consequences of it, because it was a key part of the story.
So that's young Leo, older Leo now. What do you expect his legacy to be here in North America?
We've been debating this, haven't we, off camera, and with everybody I talk, I ask, because they will have a better idea than me, that what has meant so far for the MLS and what happens next. But and I ask every taxi driver, every person I meet in the hotels, just do you know Leo and what's happening with Inter Miami? Generally, the answer is yes. Generally, the answer is they describe you the Leo show, not so much the MLS, not so much. So when Leo goes, maybe the Leo show will not be there 2-3 years. Would have been left enough, I think, for as long as in the next year or two, the MLS manages to get people going to the stadiums to see football game and to see the consequences of a result, a performance, and not just Leo. If that starts being transformed, then it will be a legacy. But it's hard. Others have tried it in the past and it hasn't happened. There's a lot of things happening, competitions, international competitions happening here, which may give the impulse that is required. If it doesn't grow now, it will not happen again, I don't think.
Do you think he's the kind of character that will struggle stopping playing football, or maybe appreciate the privacy and a balance in his life? You could argue on the one hand it will never be there because he's always going to be swamped, he's always going to be in demand, he's always going to be Leo Messi. But you could also come up with a theory that says he moves to Miami instead of Saudi Arabia to be more private and to have a bit more of a normal life.
I read it differently, and that is something that I have to deal with in the book. What happens next? And I've done it, say, with Cristiano Ronaldo as well, and it's a completely different story. Where Cristiano Ronaldo feel that you can see already that the running machine will stop one day. It will go from 100 to 0 and it will collapse. I see that. Here, he's actually cleverly gone to the MLS, where there is a big project, a big plan that goes beyond playing football, but at the same time reduces the pressure. So it's a step after the step going down. Instead of what happened with Cristiano, which was he went to Saudi Arabia, but he tried to negotiate with big clubs to see if they wanted him. He wasn't ready to leave the stage. And now he's there, he keeps calling everyone, hello, we're here, this is a big stage, and trying to convince us that it is. And yeah, of course, the league is growing a lot, and he's part of that. But more importantly, I feel that Cristiano needs that stage all the time. And he's talking about being a Hollywood star and whatever, having hotels with his name, whatever. I don't see that with Leo. I see that one day the ball will be taken off him. He will go back to Barcelona as an advisor of some kind, and we'll have football close. But since the moment his kids were born, he realized that football was not a matter of life and death.
And with Messi's extended family and network, give us some insight into how easy or hard it is to develop that trust to ultimately write a book like this and break major news stories.
Because they've been let down for so many people, you have to make sure that you understand their thinking. They are immigrants in Spain. I've been an immigrant in England, and you develop a certain perception of life and the world in a different way. So there was a connection there. I understood what the world needed to know about him because I was outside. I was in the world. I was in Argentina, and I wasn't in Spain. So again, I added value to the book and to their way of looking at things. We started doing commercial things together, so they got to know me personally. You have to go through all that, and you have to expect zero. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, if every time I had to do an update, the answer was like, that's it. We're going to do an autobiography, not interested anymore. That's it. I cannot do anything else. But every time they've been very, very good to, they want to put their side together, the side outside, to the world. This last chapter was absolutely crucial to do that because, as you said, there was a lot of stories out there about how things happened. Well, this is their chance to tell their side of the story.
And just finally, how proud is it for you personally to invest the time editorially and of course in the writing and all the relationships that we've mentioned? It's time consuming, it's tiring. How proud for you personally to then see the book out there with that front cover, when you look at it for that first time, hot off the press, with Messi's face and your name below it?
I think, and I think you'll recognize this, I take things for granted. Right, book done, right, what next? That's a little bit like that kind of a little mentality I've heard from these guys. What next? You don't go back and celebrate what has happened. You just after the next thing. And it's only now that, coming to a Soccerex and people talking to you about, I read the book or I've been to Spain because of what you did in the Sky or all these things, you think like, oh, all right, so it's had some influence. And when you hear that, it's great. It's great. And then somebody told me yesterday, did you realize that you are the authorized biographer of the best player in history in the sport that you're actually dealing with? I said, oh, yeah, actually it is. That's what it is, which is great.
Guillaume, congratulations on the updated version of the book and all of the fantastic work you do. Just before you go, remind everybody once again of the book, when it's available here in America and where it is currently available globally.
It's coming out on the 16th of November, so tomorrow since we're filming this, in the UK, and it will be in America in February. Hope to come back to Miami for, I don't know if you've seen over there, the Messi Experience. I want to see what that's like. I'll probably come back for that in April and do some work with the book, promotional work. And then in Spanish it'll be in April when it comes out. So, yeah, that's it. It now walks on its own, the book does.
Look forward to reading it. I'm definitely stealing one of these copies, Guillaume. Thanks for your time.
Cheers, man.